I have wandered much of my life, but most of that time I was lost. Even when I was settled with what appeared to be a normal life, I felt I needed to be elsewhere. My unease became a constant sense of dissatisfaction, but I didn't know what was missing. Meeting Karen changed everything for me. Being close to my mom changed everything. I felt secure, in the now. Regardless of where I was living, my mom and dad were always my best friends. They were intelligent, interesting, and had many passions. We always had something to talk about, and they cared deeply about my life choices. They also sensed my wanderlust. I think they knew early on that someday my life would become what it has.
I had created a new path for myself, which was going to make my future uncertain because I wanted to work with wildlife in exotic locations and travel the world. I wasn't expecting to find a partner that was going to share this with me. David and I had such a great connection from day one. I was, however, hesitant because he was so close to his mom. He had me meet her on date number 3. So I was intimidated. But she was so warm and welcoming, and she was the cool mom. She was independent, and she was very aware that her son had his own life, and she wanted him to find his happiness. We often all hung out at the pool and enjoyed great restaurants together. She would also just shove us out the door and tell us to have a great time.
In December of 2016, Mom started having stomach pains, severe enough that we had a couple of trips to the emergency room. She was diagnosed with diverticulitis and eventually went in for emergency surgery to remove the inflamed section. About 2 or 3 days into her recovery, the surgeon pulled me aside and said they were 99% sure she had stage 4 cancer, and there was nothing they could do. The best prognosis was 6 months. I could not tell my mom this because she wanted to get stronger at rehab and come home.
When Carrie got sick, it was crushing. Months before, we had booked a trip to Key West for all of us, and that had to be canceled. I had quickly gotten close to Carrie, and I wanted to help her navigate this medical nightmare that was overwhelming all of us. I struggled balancing my energies between supporting David and being at Carrie's bedside, as well as trying to complete my thesis, keeping up with the classes I was teaching, and preparing to present at an international conference.
Eventually, I had to tell my mom about the cancer. I took her home, set up hospice care, and stayed with her 24/7. On March 17th, she passed away. Mom was gone, but life did not slow down.
The defense date for my thesis was already scheduled, and the night before I was starting to have some lower abdominal pains.
Of course, Karen wanted to power through that and said that she would take care of it the next day. But she looked like she was in pain. I said, we have to go to the emergency room. So that's what we did. And what happened when we got there?
Well, after many hours of testing, it turned out that I had to have an emergency appendectomy.
Of course, trying to help Karen out, I asked the doctor, is there any way we can do it tomorrow? And he just looked at me like I had 2 heads and I was crazy. And I said, I just had to ask, I'm sorry. But anyway, we had the surgery.
And my defense was rescheduled, and a committee in the university was very accommodating and helpful.
And we were up against a deadline. It was already a late defense, and graduation was right around the corner. And so she had a great defense and went very well. And then life continued on, and next up was graduation.
And that was a wonderful day of celebration, a little bit stressful. My mom was visiting to come to my graduation, and which I was very surprised and happy about, but it was also a lot of work.
That's when we decided we needed to get away. We had mentioned that the Key West trip got canceled, so we decided that we were going to go on our own, and that turned into quite a revelation.
Yeah, we had a great time. We really needed to decompress, but we also discovered we also had to talk about what are we doing next. And David said, well, wherever you want to go in the world, we can go if we're on a boat.
Right, because Karen's going to work with marine life, so we knew we weren't going to be landlocked. But we didn't fall in love with Key West per se. Actually, we really enjoyed Key Largo a lot more. It was a lot slower pace and laid back. But the overall experience was like, we can be anywhere and we can be on the water if we live on a boat. So we were starting to fall in love with that idea.
And we both had independently dreamed about it, but didn't think it was possible. I certainly would have never been able to do it on my own. I would have to be with someone who's also not only interested in it, but was, had some experience sailing.
Right, and we didn't know what the lifestyle was going to be, but nonetheless, that was the genesis of the idea. So we enjoyed our trip. We went back home, and a week later, we said we got to go back down. So we went snorkeling down in Key Largo. We ran into some locals that were living the lifestyle. We had some conversations about it. And it was that trip that we decided that we would... That's Charlie and George growling at a neighboring dog. Sorry about that. So, hey, it's okay, boys. Sorry. But it was at that point that we decided that we were going to do the research about it and talk.
And really actively pursue this.
Actively pursue it. Yeah. That was months before anything actually happened. My idea was, okay, let's go home, let's buy a boat, we'll go down to Key Largo and we'll start this. Well, obviously, it didn't happen that quickly, and, life threw us a lot of curveballs. We didn't expect them. But I think we both agreed that, the universe sends you messages, and you need to listen, and you need to be in tune with yourself and what's going on around you. And that's how we made our choices. I don't think we did. I think something started out as a knee-jerk reaction, but we kept each other level-headed. Not always, well, me anyway. I wasn't always level-headed, but that's where Karen came in. But I think we made some choices, and we planned them out, and we expected other things to come up and whatnot. Nonetheless, that was the beginning of this. So I know that it's not the most fun video. I know it's probably a little bit somber, but I hope you enjoyed hearing how we made our choices. And it was the first step of step one.
And in this way, Carrie was able to help David find the happiness that she wanted for him.
Yeah, you're going to make me cry. Anyway, that's our story of the beginning. Thanks for watching, and continue to watch episodes of Salty Pup Sailing. Please subscribe, and we also have the Facebook page up now. Feel free to make comments. We'd love to interact with our audience. And again, thank you for joining.